what's going on, y'all? What's going on? Yeah. Out here trucking through Carolina. Got our little backup going on. Every day is an adventure out here. Every day is an adventure. And not all adventures are ones we would sign up for. But you know, it's kind of like life, man. You make the most out of it. You make the most out of it. Trucking is just like life. It is what you make it. It's all about your attitude toward it, how you internalize things. There's going to be ups, downs. Some things you like, some things you don't. No matter what's going on, you know you're going to have to just deal with it. You might as well mentally prepare now for turmoil that will eventually one day occur. I think that's part of what happens is we don't face the reality that life comes with challenges. And we're not properly prepared to deal with the challenges. So, and you know, and some people are more prepared than others. Ideally, you would have been intentionally introduced to challenges as a kid so that you can work through dealing with that. You need to build that up. You need to, just like working out your muscles, you need to build that up. That mental capacity for dealing with frustration and challenges. So any of my young parents watching, I hope you will think about that. I think that's a good thing to integrate into your parenting situation.
6 minutes of delay, we're out of your route.
I know, don't get mad at me. I don't have kids. What right do I have to be providing my 2 cents on parenting? I know I heard it before. Hey man, I'm just here wasting time, man. Hey, if it makes sense, use it. If it don't, dismiss it. Just, you know, whatever. Just disregard. But anyway, I mean, you could think of some other things. That's up to you. This is what I'll say. How about this? How about let's do it this way? Because I think a lot of parents just wing it. And maybe you emulate, you know, what you can from your own experience being a child, using what was modeled to you by your parents. I think that's natural and a default method, but I see that a lot of times there was a lot missing, so that might not be the most efficient way of doing it. So I want to make a suggestion that you actually think about things, you know, in advance. Like, actually go about it with a plan. Like, how can I, matter of fact, I mean, get out a pen and paper, man. I mean, ideally you can get some books about parenting where people have actually studied it and looked at research and done studies and all of that. But if nothing else, how about just getting out a pad and a pen or pencil and actually just think about, you know, what are some important things that I should be sure or be intentional about instilling in my child? And what scenarios can I present? What situations can I create to make sure that my child learns these different things? I think that's a very smart thing to do. What can I do as a parent to prepare my child for adulthood? I think that's a very smart thing to do. What things that if I had learned or had a better grasp on by the time I reached adulthood would have empowered me to make better choices? and then what you come up with, make sure you teach that to your children. I think that's a smart thing to do. I don't have to have kids to say that. So consider that. Just consider that. Like I said, if it makes sense.
6 minutes of delay were added to your route.
Use that technique, and if it doesn't, just call me a fool. But if you look at the big picture, you know, they keep talking about how do we stop these different things that goes on. I think that goes a long way to addressing some of the things. You know, people wouldn't be cracking up and breaking down and being so offended and feeling hopeless. And put it this way, if a kid has great self-esteem, a great outlook on life, proper perspective on life, a great attitude. Now this means that you know, and you're intentional about teaching different things at a young age. I mean, modeling, ideally, you know, we got to get past this do as I say, not as I do. Again, I might not be a parent, but I plan to be, so I do a lot of studying and researching and reading. That does not work. I know you're going to say it worked for me and you see it working, blah, blah, blah. What I'm saying is it's not effective. That's, well, I'm not just going to. Do your own research and see if you, based on the results of studies, using that method, on whether you think that's the best way to do it or not. That's as far as I'm going down that path. Because you're not gonna, if that's what you already believe, it's nothing that I can say that's gonna make you change your belief. But if you're serious about being the best parent you can, you don't have to take my word for it. You can study, you can research it yourself, and that's on you. You know, it's one thing to, just like in life, it's one thing that we go out and we do the things that we do and we never even think about it. We still on autopilot and we do those things. That's one thing. But it's another thing when we actually come across some information or we learn something different and we still do things that sets us back. That's something different altogether. Or we learn new information. You know, people, what's going on, man? So keeping it real, one version of keeping it real is holding on to your belief system forever. That is so immature. That's so ridiculous. But you know, this is a thing. You even see this in politicians, in politics. You see this among mature adults, whereas a person can change their opinion about a situation and they'll run campaigns saying back in 1965, 1972, 1980, this person said something different about their position on this, that, the other. Like you're supposed to say the same thing 20 years later, 10 years later as you said. That's ridiculous, man. Y'all, you know. And then too many people hear this crap in the little campaign speeches. Now, I'm using that as an example because this goes on in your everyday life as well. For instance, an artist can feel a certain way about a subject matter and then 2 or 3 years later say something different. All of a sudden he's not keeping it real. Because a problem with our culture is people act like you're supposed to remain ignorant. You know, a lot of times we'll say something And we'll be ignorant about the situation when we say it because we're not perfect. So we just say something about a situation. We don't have all the information. We don't have all the facts. We think we know, but we don't really know. And then you mess around, and as time goes on, you learn more about it. You get more insight. You might experience something differently. You might see the bigger picture. And therefore, you form a different opinion. Now all of a sudden people call you a sellout, or you're not keeping it real because you changed your position on it. That's ridiculous, y'all. You got to rise above that. We as a people got to rise above that. That's not, you got to reevaluate this term, keeping it real. Too much stupidity goes on around that. Too many people worried about being ridiculed for dumb things.
26 minutes of delay were added to your route.
That they keep on doing stuff that they know is harming them. And that goes back to one of the things I was saying in the other video about trucking being the way out. Like some people, that would be a perfect way for you to get away from around that environment. You don't want to be ridiculed by the people that's around you. So you keep doing the stuff. Keep hanging with that crowd. Get on the road, man. Make that money. Let's go. Make that money. Do something with your life. You know who I'm talking to. You know who I'm talking to. Construction projects. What's happening? Well, I'm not going to mess too much with politics right now. I don't feel like going down that rabbit hole. Besides, it makes too many people upset and depressed. We have to get a more balanced foundation for dealing with politics and religion and what else? Oh, sexuality. We have to be able to have civil discourse. We have to be able to express ourselves about different subject matter without falling out with each other, without yelling at each other, without cursing each other out. We have to, see what I'm saying? Now back to the parenting thing. Make sure you teach your kids how to debate and how to communicate about issues that they disagree with and communicate with people that they disagree with. Civil discourse. Make sure you teach your kids that. What's wrong with you, buddy? You all right? You all right? Yeah. Courtney don't like when we stop moving, boy. She be like, yo, man, what are you doing here? Let's go, let's go, let's go. I like when we sit still now. Yeah. I wonder how many people are still watching this video. Mindfulness. Do y'all realize how short our attention span has gotten? How easy it is for us to become distracted. We're just used to everything moving fast, 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 fast. Got 3 different screens going at the time, quote unquote multitasking, got 3 apps open on the phone. I mean, I do it. I said quote unquote multitasking because science says that we don't really multitask in the way that we think we're multitasking. Your brain is really going back and forth rapidly between these different activities, but it really doesn't matter. Christmas is coming up. Christmas is coming up. See, that's religion, holidays, civil discourse. People can't even say Merry Christmas or whatnot without somebody getting offended. That's crazy, man. Raise your kids to not be easily offended by things. That's one thing. That's another thing. What we're talking about is empowering your kids to have a less stressed adulthood. You know why so many people are dealing with depression? I mean, they keep trying to find answers and solutions to all of these questions, man. It's because when they were younger, a lot of them, not everybody, they simply were not taught how to cope with stress and how to interpret the things that they face. You know what I'm saying? So the slightest challenge, it hits them hard, and they're overwhelmed because they lack the coping skills to keep moving forward. You know? So I mean, there's many different things, and that's just one aspect of it. Another aspect of it. So instead of, like, even if I make a poor decision and it causes me to be in a terrible situation, well, look, you're gonna keep dwelling on it and beating yourself up for making the decision. That's not the way to do it. You reflect, and then you got some people who gonna keep pointing the finger at someone else being responsible for why you're in a situation. That's one extreme. That ain't gonna help you out, because then you never identify your own contribution to the situation, which means you can't change it. And then you got other people who keep beating themselves up and get to a point where you lack too much self-love, and your self-esteem is shot, and you dislike yourself. That ain't gonna do it, you see? But again, so these are things that we have to think about. And so how do you make sure as a parent you equip your children to be more balanced in dealing with that, more mentally capable to deal with stress, challenges? And one of the most simplest things is just make sure to have a nurturing, loving environment and supportive of the child. But again, you got to be intentional about some of the things you put them through, because they're not going to mess around. They might not encounter all of the situations on their own. Tell them no sometimes. You know what I'm saying? Discipline them sometimes. Have some type of boundaries and restrictions. Goals. Make them have goals. Have rules in place. Now, again, man, I'm not trying to tell you how to parent. I'm just throwing some thoughts out there, some ideas out there. It's not for you. It's for the people who just don't get it. Just don't really think about the significance of that role and take it for granted. Because here's the thing, your kid is not automatic, and it's not by chance I mean, by chance it can happen, but that's not how it happens. I mean, that's not how you have these people who are adults, for the most part, who does well in life. It's really an intentional parent who is proactive in the things that they teach that child, and how they nurture that child, and how they raise that child, that creates a well-balanced adult. Real talk. You keep going around in circles. Why this? Why that? Why do we have this? Why do we have that? And what's the solution? This, that, the other. And, you know, I think we tend to make things more complicated than they are. A lot of it all can be solved in a proactive manner by parenting. Now, of course, there's complexities, because sometimes you have two parents that got to work. Now, who's in the home, who's dealing with them, this, that, the other. I mean, these are all, you know, but I'm talking to the people to whom it applies, and for the time period that it applies. You know. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Oh, wait a minute, man. I was getting ready to talk about Christmas. What happened? What happened? I'm not talking about my name either. But anyway, so a lot of people are going to spend money Christmas. And sometimes I come across people who spend so much money. They done spent the rent money, the electric bill, the car payment. Think about that. Think about that. Like, does it make sense for you to go in debt, racking up credit card charges? Does it make sense to buy all of these things and then go in debt, or to get behind on your bills? The necessities of life. Do it make sense to struggle for the sake of buying Christmas gifts? Like, even for your kid, how many toys does a child need? You know, Santa Claus is a whole nother discussion. I don't well, if you're telling your kid that it's a Santa Claus, it seems like an easier way out, because it's not on you. You could be like, hey, look, Santa sent us a note this year. Santa said he having a hard time, and he was only gonna be able to get you 1 or 2 gifts. No, but on the real, man, think about it. Do you really want to struggle and take away from the family and bring stress into the family? Now, we're talking about a lot of marital problems derived from money issues. So this is all I'm saying. Make sure you don't introduce stress into the family over some doggone Christmas gifts. Now you can't pay the rent, electric, water, car payment, and all this stuff. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Think about it. All right, y'all. Take it easy. Take it easy. Don't get mad at me, man. I'm on autopilot right now. I'm just on autopilot. This video is for entertainment purposes only, except for the people who can see the bigger picture and find the value. For everybody else that got offended and taking it personal, probably needed to hear it. But it's just entertainment. Relax. Calm down.